So the question is, the tech company, how do you grab those talent and keep it within your organization? Money is one thing, benefit is one thing, but believe it or not, workplace is one of the components.
So welcome to Paperspace Asia's first podcast for 2025. We're honored to be able to present a series of podcasts throughout the course of the year that we hope you'll find super interesting and valuable for the businesses that you have. Let me tell you a little bit about Paperspace, just to kind of set the scene. We focus on workplace design, workplace strategy, and change management. And all of that is in place in order to solve real life employer, real life business problems such as employee well-being, employee collaboration, employee cooperation, creativity, return to the office, culture in the organization, and a whole host of things that are extremely relevant to both management and employees. My name is Edward Musiak. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Paperspace Asia. Actually in lovely Thailand at the moment, in Bangkok. And I'm with one of the, I have to say truthfully, one of the gurus of design, extremely well known in the country, and also happens to be the co-founder and Chief Experience Officer for Paperspace Asia, Sombat Ng. Sombat, great to meet you.
Great to meet you too, Ed.
And what we're going to do is talk about what we do in the areas of workspace design, strategy, change management, etc., and how that applies to fixing the issues that I discussed a little bit earlier. And we're going to do that via Sombat's experience. Sombat has been in the business for an extremely long period of time. And rather than talking about every type of business in one go, we've picked technology. Tech is kind of at the forefront of everyone's tongue at the moment and forefront of everyone's brain at the moment around the world, and especially here. I mean, it's booming in this particular country. So we'll talk about what Sombat has done in his life prior to Paperspace Asia in that industry and how design and strategy has helped, and then post and during his time here at Paperspace Asia. So Sombat, welcome.
Yep.
Why don't we start by you telling all of us a little bit about yourself?
Sure.
How did you get into the industry? How long you've been in the industry, etc.?
Sure. I start my career in 2001. So before that, actually, so I studied interior design in Bangkok here, and I graduated about 1999. The problem is economic crash before that, like a few years before that. So there is no kind of job in the market at all. So I kind of struggled to find a job in Bangkok. So what I did during that time is I kind of borrowed my mom's money, buy a ticket, and fly to Singapore for 7 days, walking, knocking a door, looking for a job.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of my starting point. I managed to get a job in Singapore as a designer, and I'm so fresh, so I don't have any experience in the design company before. So the job that I got in Singapore, I got two offers. One is exhibition design. The second is office design. Both offer me kind of same kind of salary. The difference is the where I'm gonna work. So the exhibition design is in the industrial park. Like all the factories, very messy warehouse. Whereby the office design company is in the CBD, nice conference room. Corporate colors, like nice lighting.
Easy decision.
I picked the second one right away, even though I didn't really know how to do the office design. So that's kind of my starting point. So I start work as a interior design for office in 01, and I just do that all the way until now, which is is 26 5, yeah, so it's 25 years now, so all the way. I never like stopped doing
Okay.
this. So that's kind of my background.
So at some point, Paperspace Asia came
Okay,
into being.
yeah,
Tell us a little bit about that.
sure. So I worked in Singapore for a while, and I relocated back to Bangkok, where I running a Singapore company from Bangkok. So I doing that for a few years and kind of have the dream to have our own design studio. So I kind of resigned and set up my little studio, like one man studios, like before that. But that doesn't really work because I believe that I have done like multiple like MNC projects when I was in Singapore, big names like Microsoft, Yahoo, Facebook. I thought that those portfolio will give me a good start when I start my own studio, but it's not because I'm the only one person. I couldn't reach out to the clients, so I struggled doing that for a few years until I have the idea that actually, what about I contact back to the people I work with when I was in Singapore, someone who knows very well in like business development, strategy, client management, technical kind of like design. So I reached out to those peers that I know when I was in Singapore, which is so that where the first one is Narita. So I contact Narita that I want to set up a new company called Paperspace. Would you like to join me? So I fly away to Singapore again, have a coffee with her in Chinatown Road.
Okay.
That is like 2015.
So Narita, by Narita, you mean Narita Chia, who's now the CEO.
Yeah, which is going to be a
Okay.
next episode for us. Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we focus in on, we said we'd talk about the tech industry.
Yep.
Um, so in your, I guess, what are we talking about now? Nearly 8 years, right?
Yep.
At Paperspace Asia. For those that don't know, when you're out there, talking to them about design, when you're talking to them about workplace strategy, what sort of problems do you hear? What are some of the issues that they're trying to have addressed or fixed? What are some of their challenges?
I think there are two spectrums. So one is the MNC clients who has all the Bibles. They know what to do. I mean, from the HQ, right? But the problem for them is when they need to apply that into like local market, there's some gaps between cultures, Western culture, Eastern culture. So I think whatever works in the West side might not work in the East side. So
Okay.
you have to kind of be there in the local kind of context and then able to adjust whatever is come from the HQ and apply to the local kind of context. On the other side of the spectrum is the tech startup locally who want to be like the big giant.
Okay.
So they grow so fast, but they don't have the formula on how to run or how to keep the good people as the big boys do. So it's kind of sitting in between. So we know the formula. So we sometimes we apply that formula to the locals, like
Okay.
tech company to how you can make the office. How can you use the space to boost your like people creativity innovation? We know that. Yeah. So it's kind of like we kind of bridging between the knowledge that we have like overseas and we know the local context, the local culture. So we kind of
Okay. So let me kind of focus in on that. I'm really interested in that. One of the things that Paperspace Asia does is workplace strategy.
yes.
So could you tell us a little bit about that to set the scene for why that's so important?
Yep.
And then what I'd love to do is be able to go over to design and
Sure.
how you take that step from step 1 to step 2, which is design, and then solving management challenges and employee challenges.
Sure. So I think the workplace strategy, right, is the starting point for you to set the objective of that project. Let's say you have 1,000 staff spreading over 5 locations. I mean, you grow up so fast and you have like multiple buildings. People are like working like apart from each other, and you want to consolidate that into, let's say, one campus. The question is how
Yeah.
and what ingredients you have to put into the new campus. You can't just put 100 or no 1,000 people into that, because maybe it doesn't work. So workplace strategy come to digest that information and set the scene to start the whole thing. So we start, the process is quite simple. We go to the leaders, interview all the objective of the business and the organization, and then you interview the middle tiers managers in order to know the operation side, and you have kind of surveys to shoot out to all the staff to get the nuances of the whole company, and then you do a site observation to see how they work. Different departments work differently.
Okay.
Finance team, sales team, the IT teams, those kind of things. They have different way of work, and you just consolidate those whole thing into kind of like a strategy, and this will make you like make a call whether you want to move to a huge campus in CBD, out town, or whatever.
So is it fair to say that it's really a discipline unto its own?
Yes.
Like you use specialist people to do that.
Yes.
So I have to ask one that I've thought about in the little bit of time I've been with Paperspace, and that is, I've heard of a lot of organizations who have designed office space and been very proud of it, but they never mention about having done workplace strategy work, and you hear stories of people going, it looks beautiful, but I'm not sure it's solving this problem
Yep.
and that problem and that
Yep.
problem. Do you think that, and we'll focus on Thailand, but I'm interested in your views about Southeast Asia as well. Do you think that there is the level of understanding of strategy as a precursor to design that there should be?
To be honest, I think in Thailand is quite new. Like most of the local clan didn't really like understand what is that. Workplace strategy came from the west side, which is the HQ. They know that in their market. For us, is quite new. So not much clients is request for that here in Thailand, but because we know that we need to have that the right kind of starting point, right? So sometimes we just offer a little bit of that strategy as part of the design discovery progress.
Is it fair to kind of say that part of that process is to really understand what the problems are that you're trying
Yeah,
to address?
yeah. You have to know problem before you solve it.
Yeah.
So moving to the new location or consolidating the space, you have to have a clear objective of why you have to do that.
Okay.
And there's no way to dig out that information if you're not getting those like complex of layers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's move to design. There are a lot of very large international design companies. Paperspace Asia is based in Asia. You're based here in Thailand, although your responsibility spans multiple countries. What are your thoughts about, an international company based somewhere outside of Asia, perhaps in Europe or the US, versus a local company coming in and addressing the needs of an organization here, even an international MNC that's based here? Do you see that there are advantages to that, being local and talking about design here in a local environment?
I think that's like one of the advantage for us, because we like I mentioned before. So we know the context here, we know the
Okay.
culture of people. Somehow we know the international standard. So there's one case which is interesting. So we have the it's an advertising company, and then the HQ has a policy of hot desking, which is 7 years back. It's very new here. So people are moving from fixed desks, they have their own desks, to moving to the hot desking, like 60 by 40. So 60% of staff will be fixed and 40% is going to be float. So it's quite new for them. So we like helping them to transform that, and we have color, the local color elements to transit that smoothly
Okay.
in design part.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the umbrella of the tech companies. As you know, tech companies around the world, we're seeing them kind of enforcing a "you're coming back to work
Yeah,
full time"
yeah.
approach with their employees. It's a separate topic altogether. Do you see a similar kind of return to office scenario here? And if how does the return to office movement affect what you do here with Paperspace here in Thailand?
Um, First, I think in Thailand, they are calling people back to work way before. Actually,
Okay.
even during the COVID, we spent like few, not as long as the Western side. So people are requested to go back to the office like just like a few months after the COVID hit, because the situation here is not that bad compared with the other countries. Um, but we do have a lot of requests on how they are coming back to the
Okay.
office, because first, the new generation, they are very familiar with the hybrid kind work setup. So if you want, if you interview the new peers now, the very first question they're gonna ask is, are you having the hybrid work policy in your organization? If not, they just not consider it,
Okay.
because it's kind of like a norm now. So you have like 1,000 staff in your company, and you want everyone to be back, and the real estate cost is rising. So you have to be smart enough to kind of make your space in a very like productive kind of formula.
Okay.
So they're coming back how many days a week, when they come to the office, what kind of activities they need in the office, because some of them, they are not coming to sit on the desk. So they
Okay.
just come for a meetings, seeing the clients, sending emails. So if you trace back and then you understand these all activities, the space that you're going to provide for them when they come back is really kind of maximized.
So it's much more than just, I guess is it fair to say that it's much more than just designing an
Oh,
office?
design is just a little, and not a little, it's part of the puzzle, the whole puzzle. Because it's give people inspiration,
Okay.
but it's not all the whole thing.
So with some of I know that you've worked with some huge tech companies.
Yeah.
Um, can you tell us a little bit about that process? What were they looking for? How did you go about it? How, did it solve the problems that they were after? Because the some of them, obviously, I would imagine we can't mention publicly,
Yeah.
but just, the names that I've seen are massive companies.
Sure.
So either by like one or two, or in general, what sort of things did they ask you for?
Yeah.
What were their objectives?
So there's one client, a big one. They believe that the big ideas never happen on the desk. So that's kind of a starting point. They will do anything for their staff to have the moment that aha moment, to create something that changes the world. So that's kind of the mindset. So the rule is, you have to design a new, fresh idea every time we have a new office. So the concept couldn't be repeat again. So if you have this somewhere in the world, you can't use it anymore. So you have to come up with new and new and new and new like ideas, which is fun for us, because we can go like as far as we want. And then at the end of the process is, if you can make the staff go to the office and they feel that, oh, this is like so inspired, you can answer the question right away.
So one of the first things I learned when I joined was like the image of you as an individual in Thailand and how well known you were. I think there'd be some people who, and including me, who'd be really interested in. Tell us a little bit about the creative process. I mean, when you've talked to a client and you've listened to their, how do you envision? What sort of process do you go through to envision a solution for them? A design for them. Does it relate to their particular business? How does that design process work? How does Sombat's brain work?
I I'm not really like a hardcore designer because I am the business owner also. So when I talk to the client,
Yep.
I'm not really a designer. So I'm wearing the partners. So whatever I ask is really, back to their business.
Okay.
So design is one tools that I have. So the language that I use is kind of how do you make this to
Okay.
improve your organizations,
Okay.
your business. The creative part is quite tricky because it's like everyone has their own way
Yep. Yep.
to come out with that. But I I like to put myself into a very kind of like weird situation in order for me to absorb a little different context.
Okay.
So and I keep that in my kind of bookcase,
Okay.
and I'll use that somewhere in the future. So that's the way my brain works. So I have the dream of the project that all the cities is like a model cities is flipping upside down, so people can walk in and then seeing themselves walking like you can see the whole city
Okay.
on the ceilings like rivers. I have that kind of rough idea 10 years back,
Okay.
and I keep that in my like bookcase all along until there's a right moment, the right project, and then I pick that out and I apply to the projects
That's really fascinating. So you're essentially collecting ideas, and then
somewhere along the way, in
yeah,
my life. And
and then at some point in time, one of those ideas might be really useful for a particular project.
yeah. When I go like travel overseas, I go for like museums. That's like I don't go shopping.
Yep.
I'm going to the museum. I want to experience whatever is in that museum to give us the experience, because some of the museum is very good. You can immerse yourself into that space and that time and moment. And actually office design, if you can do it in the right way, you can do that with your staff. You can immerse your people into the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. So I kind of I want to create that experience. So it's not about the colors, it's
So,
about the whole thing.
so let's take that back to tech companies.
Yeah.
When you sit down with a tech company, a really big one,
Yeah.
and they'll share their ideas about what they want
Yeah.
and why. Tell me about that process. I mean, how often have you found in your experience that you've ended up following 100% of what they wanted versus how many times have you gone, well, hang on, let's think about this, and you've helped remold or reshape their vision?
Uh, there are like both case, because mostly we will just like propose what we think.
Okay.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it's not.
Yep.
But
Yep.
we find a way to compromise. But I think, to be honest, I mean, some clients, I think they want to have a standardized, which is not wrong actually. They want all the offices in the world. I mean, in the whole world to look kind of similar, like look and feel. So it's easier for them to manage the elements, like the furniture, the lighting, the AV. So all standard.
Okay.
So you don't need to recreate that again. It works. I mean, in terms of system. But I mean, even though we have that like constraint, we still find a way to sneak some glimpse of design into that
Yep.
As long as it's not breaking their rules, I think they are fine.
Okay.
But some of the clients will just let us play. It's like a playground. You can do
Okay.
whatever you want.
Okay. So we're talking about tech companies.
Hmm?
So the obvious question, the next step for me is, how has tech changed?
Hmm.
How has tech changed in this particular industry, and how have you and Paperspace adapted to that when it comes to providing a solution to clients?
The talent is a talent war here. So people can jump from one to the others very easy because I mean there's not enough like workforce in the market. So we can see like last few years, right? I mean people are they get like very high salary even though they just graduated. So the question is the tech company, how do you grab those talent and keep it within your organization? Money is one thing, benefit is one thing, but believe it or not, workplace is one of the components
Yeah,
that
yeah.
people are just like me, like 20 years back. I picked that
Yep.
because of workplace, the place that I can be the best of my version,
Okay.
the place that I you know be very productive when I come to work.
And how has your use of technology changed? Like since Paperspace started 8 odd years ago, how has your utilization of technology changed in
Oh,
delivering?
we try everything that is coming to
Yeah,
the
so can you give
nearby.
us a little bit of where you were like when you started, and the kind how it's changed, some of the things that have evolved since those
So
days?
we when we start, I mean, it's just like typical design firm. We have the kind of like standard tools that everyone has. I think we have the VR set actually in one period of time, even before like Mark Zuckerberg announced the Meta thing. So we use the VR to present our design. So we brought all the gears to the client's office for them to wear and then experience the whole walkthrough. I think
Okay.
that's kind of like we try that, and the latest AI things. I think we want to explore that, and we found that is kind of, people say that it's gonna replace designers, but I think it's not true.
You're one step ahead of me. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
What your thoughts about AI and design?
is it's just like it's helping us a lot to save time if you use it correctly. So we just finished one you know pitching project that we use AI to guide designer what kind of look and feel they should produce. So instead of spending 3 4 days render you know things that it doesn't work, we use AI for half a day to investigate like a few options, and then you use that as a reference to go for the right options, and then spend your right amount of time rather than just wasting time guessing the
Okay.
different options. And I myself is very interesting because I use ChatGPT a lot. Lately, I just creating my own assistant. So I kind of dumping all my biography, who I am into the database, and then create this assistant. So I call it she. I have the name, and then every time I have some issue, I just ask her as a PA, and she
Okay.
will answer on behalf of my characteristic, my it's not a
Okay.
randomly.
That's really
So
interesting. Paperspace, design, strategy. How do you see that evolving in the future? What do you think is going to happen? Um, and what will be the impact on the employees that you need to hire for that, the technology you may use? Um, do the customers understand that? Just give me some kind of views for, okay, if you could look out 3 years or 5 years, which I know is a long time, but what do you see?
yeah, my personal view, I think technology will be like massive change. The way you use, I mean, the tools now is going to be more and more advanced in a very coming year. I think the issue is the people. that is something that, I mean, you can't get away of that. How do you keep the people? How do you maintain them? Get the right one. So I think the way people work will be changed for sure. So we can see that. I think actually the hybrid work is what we call is one of the big era in the whole in you know office revolution. So I think it's gonna evolve more and more in futures. But people is still the most like valuable asset for the company. So design strategy is gonna change, but I think the bottom line is how to keep that people. How do you make the most of that asset?
Sombat, for me, it's actually been an honor chatting to you.
Me
I've
too.
learned a lot. I mean, obviously I know you, but I learned things today that I did not know before. I hope that for those who watch the podcast, they learn something, not just at a business level, business leaders and the benefits that workplace strategy and design bring to the table, but also for those people who want to get into the industry, what it takes, and how you get to a level where you can achieve the achievements that people like Sombat have done, and compete as a minnow against the sharks, or against the whales and still win. So I'm honored. Thank you very much for your time.
Most welcome.
So our next podcast, we will announce that on our website. So please visit us at Paperspace Asia. It will be with our CEO, Narita Chia, in Singapore. I'll be interviewing her as well. Please visit our website to learn more about what we do, and especially some of the amazing things that, if you're here in Thailand, I would really take some time to look at some of the incredible things this team has done, not across industries, but as we were talking about today in the tech industry, especially in the tech industry, it really is incredible, and to listen to what benefits and what problems were solved. So thank you for your time. Thank you, Sombat.
Thank you so much,
I
Ed.
look forward to talking to everybody, hopefully very soon. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.